right. Good morning. I think we are live. Yes, we are live. Having a little delay here, it looks like, but great to see everybody. Chris Colt here, the challenge champion. Let us know where you're coming in from. You might see my eyes pop up once in a while because I got a couple screens going on to make sure we are live. That's why I had a little stall there. But I'm excited today. I have a great friend who we're going to talk about purpose-driven leadership. So Larry Moss, if you don't know him, he's worked in leadership development. He's sculpted high performance leaders across a wide, diverse sector. So you're looking at federal government, academia, and corporate corridors to even the nonprofit world. And what we're going to talk about today is the heart of purpose-driven leadership. We want you to walk away today discovering how a clear purpose, it's just not motivational fluff. It's really what you need, and it's a strategic advantage to you in your business. So, Larry, we are live. I see everything working. Great to see you. How are you doing
Great
this
to see you.
morning?
Awesome. Now that I'm back home.
That's a good thing. Yeah, you had a little change in plans before we were supposed to do this, so I'm grateful that you're here live with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to be here.
Yeah, so if you're coming in live now, please let us know. I see a bunch of you are starting to join on live. Let us know where you're coming in from. We want to give you a shout out. And then if you catch us on Team Replay, because I know that happens also, please let us know where you're coming on there, okay? So let's see, Natalie. I see Natalie out there. Going to pull you up right here. It'll come up on the screen in a second. So Natalie, great to see you. Good morning. I'm not sure if you're seeing that, Larry. There we go.
Yeah. Hey,
Buffalo,
Natalie, good to see you.
Wyoming. Awesome. I love Wyoming. So, Larry, let's have a conversation around this to start this party. I always like to ask this question because it starts to open the conversation. Who are you fighting for out there, and why are you fighting for them? And we'll take the conversation from there.
No, absolutely. So I really have a soft spot in my heart for young leaders, those emerging in their leadership journey, and really those new entrepreneurs as well, because they're an underserved community, right? As an executive coach, a business coach, there's a lot of us out there. It's a saturated market, and if you're a young entrepreneur and you're going out and looking for some guidance, most of us are more than willing to help you for a price. And what I want to do is build a community where we can make this affordable, but getting to the problem that every leader goes through, that they're struggling with. Because, man, if you're starting a business, it's scary. It really is. And you're filled with self-doubt and those limiting beliefs that just bombard us every day. And having been someone that's gone through that and still goes through it every day, right? I fight my saboteurs every single day. And I want everybody to know that that's common and that's okay. But I want to be your guide on that journey through this process to help you build up the mental muscle in order to fight the battle.
I love it. And those saboteurs, they come in. We'll talk about that in a second, but I want to give a few more shout outs because everybody's kind of interacting. So we got Mark out of Kansas City. We got Dale. Yeah, Dale, I figured sometimes there's a little start of the delay when we go live here. We got JT. I know JT and I went back and forth on DMs today. Good morning from Northern Virginia. Dolores from Colorado. Awesome to have you out there from Colorado. Dolores, your name's coming up right now. And then Michael. Hey, Michael, it's been a while since we chatted. Hope all's well down in New Jersey. So let's talk about, before we get into this conversation, you mentioned saboteurs. Talk about those a little bit because, as an entrepreneur, I know there's a lot of them out there. Let's go into this conversation.
No, absolutely. So your saboteurs are those little voices in your head, right, that tell you you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or you can only succeed when fill in the blank, when something else happens. And they're there every day. And for those of us that are starting on something new, a new journey, whether it be a new position at work, a new job, a new business, they show up every single day, and they're part of our life. They're created when we're young to protect us. And unfortunately, as we grow older, they hang around and they become habits and behaviors and thought processes that no longer serve us for protection, but they hold us back. And those saboteurs show up. I mean, wake you up at 3:00 in the morning and go, oh yeah, I know you got this live event coming up, but you're not prepared for it. and you lay there wide awake. But and I'm sure everybody can relate to that.
Yeah. So How do you address that? So let's just use that as an example, that 3 a.m. wake up call, because none of us are guilty of that, right? It never happens. But like that saboteur that comes up, like, yeah, you're not prepared for today. How would you handle that at 3 o'clock in the morning?
So really, it's building up your mental capacity to recognize it. First of all, you got to name it. You got to understand that voice, right? When have you ever been in a crowded room and you hear that voice and you recognize it? Oh, that's my friend Chris. I know who. I don't see you, but I know that's you. Well, with same thing happens with the saboteur. We have to recognize what it is for what it is, and then we have to be able to now say, all right, thanks for the advice, but I got this, and here's why, and here's how I can do it. Here's my understanding of how I'm capable of doing this. But it's an exercise. It's a fitness routine to get to that,
Yeah.
because just like going to the gym, right? I mean, you're a cyclist.
Yep.
Before you ever started cycling and you decided I want to win a race, I go out and buy this great bike and I enter the race. Did you expect to win? No,
Nope.
because
Never.
it takes time to build up. I can't bench press 350 pounds the first time I go into the gym. Now, let me get this straight. I still can't bench 350 pounds, but I start small and I work my way up. It's those 1% increases daily that helps me get to where I need to be. Same thing with saboteurs. I can't overcome them today. It's not an easy button.
Right.
It's a process. It's a timed event that we have to build up to.
You said it perfect. There's just that little percentage of incremental things you do each day. Just put a little more effort into that. I'm an endurance cyclist, and it's like, hey, like you said, I want to cross a 100-mile finish line. Well, let's be real. If I haven't been riding a bike in a while, or I've never ridden a bike, that's not going to happen. It's going to be, what are those little tiny things you start with? And I think that really comes up to, like, when you really look at that, because when the saboteurs hit, and I know when they hit me, like, I always look at, why are these here? And what gets me through this, and this is where I want to kind of transition into the topic that we're here for, is purpose. Purpose does, right? When something hits me and says, I'm not worthy, or this isn't going to happen today, or you're not prepared, I always go back to that purpose. And when that happens, then I'm prepared to start to move forward, and I will take the next step. So why don't you talk a little bit about purpose-driven leadership? Because that's what we're here to talk about today, and let everybody hear this. And feel free to ask questions. I see Denise just joined us here. Mark, thank you for sharing about FUD up there. So ask questions. We'll be popping in and out with each and every one of you to ask questions. But go ahead, Larry.
No, absolutely. So in a nutshell, purpose is our why. We're all created with a purpose. And unfortunately, most of us go through life never understanding what that is. And our work, our efforts, our relationships, and everything become stressful because they're not tied to our purpose.
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy said, efforts and courage are not enough if we don't have purpose and direction. All right. So it doesn't matter what strategies you have, what good ideas and methodologies, if they're not tied to your purpose, because that's what motivates you and directs you in every decision you make, every situation, every obstacle that comes up, every time your saboteur shows up, it's when you can revert back to your purpose. This is why I'm here. Then I can battle those. And it also it changes our personality. I mean, think about your job you have right now. What do you feel like when you wake up and your alarm goes off and it's like time to get up and go to work? Are you excited? Are you frustrated? Are you stressed? Do you want to just roll back over? Then if you do, then you're probably not aligned with your purpose. And that's my mission is, number one, let's help leaders and entrepreneurs become aware of their purpose, then align to their purpose, and then gather a community to hold each other accountable to stay in that purpose.
See, and I think the part, like, just those 3 areas, but the accountability part also. I mean, that's one of the largest things, anything. When you go to set out on any mission in life, we're all going to fall off the bandwagon. It's just, we're humans. That's what happens. But that accountability is the area that, really takes it to the next level. So actually, let's talk about that a little bit, right? You talked about, like, what it's like to be in that purpose. So what happens when you're not in that purpose? What are some of the things that you have, and how can you use accountability to flip that around when you're falling out of that purpose?
Oh, great question. So I can explain how it feels for me.
Yeah.
I feel frustrated and lost, like my efforts don't matter. Okay.
Oof.
Um, I mean, as an entrepreneur, one of the things you've got to be prepared to fail. As a matter of fact, you've got to be willing to fail
Yeah.
and be able to take risk. Well, without purpose, then we retreat to a safety zone and we won't take risk because it's not aligned to anything. All we see is the fear. All we see is the risk that what could happen. But we only look at the negative coulds, right? Because what could also happen is you could succeed, but I've got to try and attempt it first. But so without being in my purpose, then I tend to be frustrated and lost. And tying that to accountability, it's very important that who you're accountable to is the people that support you and are aligned with your purpose. Because man, we all know we got people around us
Yep.
that we should probably distance ourselves from. We used to tell our kids that there's two types of people in the world: those that are going to pour into you and those that are going to pull out of you.
Oh, yeah.
So if you find yourself around somebody that's pulling out of you, get rid of them. Don't let them hold you accountable.
Please get away
Yeah.
from them.
We want to make sure that we're accountable to those that support us and that understand our purpose. And if the younger you are, the better it is to understand this, because if you know your purpose and you start aligning with the right people and letting them hold you accountable, it totally transforms the relationships you build. It to your personal, your professional, down to the person you decide to spend the rest of your life with. Imagine if you had two different purposes and weren't aligned. Where do you think that relationship's going to go? And same thing in business. It really is.
With purpose. So, I hear this all the time too. People get to a certain age, so I'm in my early 50s and I hear people all the time, like literally they'll put it on Facebook or something or LinkedIn. I don't know if I found my purpose yet, right? Or I don't know what my purpose is, or I've been down the wrong path of my purpose. Maybe give some tips on how do you truly find what that purpose is within you? Like, a way of doing that that's an easy exercise, maybe.
So this is a great question, and I'm going to give some shameless
I told
plug.
you we were just going with the flow.
I know. I just happened to have this book because getting ready for this, and this is what I do. I'm always reading. I'm an avid reader. I read like between 30 and 40 books a year, and this is my latest one that I'm reading. I know it's probably showing up backwards here, but Built to Serve by Evan Carmichael, and he's got a finding your why exercise in here. And then I've decided I'm going to use this in my challenge because it's so amazing.
Speaking of challenge, just so you all know, I'm going to pop that up here too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep on talking about Larry's going to be doing, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but if you want, just grab this QR code that's about to put up and remember this code. I'm going to give it to you right now. CHAMP 25, CHAMP 25. So CHAMP 25. You decide to join this challenge in a couple weeks, he'll give you $25 off that. So you can scan that anytime. But Larry, keep on talking.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So in his book, he has these 5 questions, and I'm like, well, those are kind of random. How does this help with defining your purpose? So I took his exercise. I'm like, wow, it works, because I know what my purpose is,
right?
And my purpose is growth, both in my own life and helping others grow through their relationships with who they meet and how they interact with people. So that's my purpose, to develop others along that way. But here's these 3 or 5 questions. So feel free to write them down. I should have sent them to you before and you could have popped them up, but that's okay. So number 1, who was your favorite teacher growing up and why?
Ooh.
Who was your favorite teacher growing up and why? And you may not, I did this with my family, did this with my kids, and they're all like, so you may have to take some time to think about it, and that's okay. Question number 2, what is your favorite movie of all times? What is your favorite movie of all time? Number 3, What do you love most about how your parents raised you?
Ooh.
What do you love most about how your parents raised you? Number 4, which successful person do you look up to as a role model and why? And that can be somebody present, past, doesn't matter. And for your kids, current or future, what lessons do you want to make sure they understand? So, what lessons do you want your kids to understand? And, when you first hear these questions or read them, they're like, well, those are all over the place. Those are random. How
Yeah.
does this help you find your purpose, right? But when you look at the answers, you start seeing a pattern around them. And you can even, and I'll go deeper into this in my challenge, but we can even assign words, some additional words to each one of these, but you start seeing a thread
Okay.
of what's important to you, because that's your why. That's inside you. That's why that teacher was your favorite teacher. That's why that movie is your favorite movie. The things that stand out are tied to your purpose. It's like you want to, all of a sudden, once you realize it, you start seeing it more and more. It's like you're buying a new car, right? Or for
Yep.
you, a new bike, right? So you got this great bike, you've gone to see it, you look at it, you love it, you're going to buy this. And now everybody you see is riding that bike because you're thinking, well, they stole my idea. No,
Yeah.
it's just now that it's in here, now that you understand it and you see it, you're going to see it everywhere. But it's invisible to you until you realize what your purpose is. So once you have that, now every decision you make, every job you look for, every relationship you build is now tied to what your purpose is.
I love that. And I see Mark just put something on here. Let's read with this. So I love Simon Sinek, but instead of starting with why, I believe we should start with who, specifically who you serve in terms of 4 key realms of service: spiritual, relational, personal, and professional. It's not going to show the rest of this, but yeah, that's some good insight right there, Mark.
Oh, absolutely. And and Mark, I know Mark well. He's got a great book that, and I had it on my desk the other day. I should have brought it up so you could see
He's
it.
going to call you out later.
I know, right? Sorry, Mark. But he's right. It's like the why is important. And once you have your why, where are you going to spread your why? And that is, if you don't know who, that's where the alignment comes in. Who are you aligning to?
Yeah.
Right? Because holding your purpose in, you're not meant to do that. Your purpose is meant to share. And we're built to serve, as Evan Carmichael says. And it's once you understand and you line your purpose and you realize what it is, all of a sudden the opportunities to serve others will come into play. And I gave you the example. I was in the hospital this weekend, and my nurse, right, we got to talking, and I'm always sharing my story so that others will be comfortable sharing their story. So as I shared my story, she began to share her story.
Yep.
And through her story, I realized where she wanted to be, her purpose, because her entire life had changed. And she was in corporate America, and then 2 years ago became a nurse due to an event that happened in her life
Okay.
that created her how. And again, we won't get into that today, but
Right.
and she became a nurse, and she wanted to get into a certain type of care, palliative care, those last moments of life. It was very important to her. And through that, understanding her purpose, I was able to introduce her to a client of mine that does this. And I'm like, that's the alignment. So
Yep.
now where is that going to go? Who knows? But if I didn't know what my purpose was, I couldn't hear her purpose. And now it's created another relationship.
But then that opens up all the things you do. And I know your heart, you serve, you're a giver. I've gotten to know you enough in the time we've been working together, and I see how you do that. So you're always looking for areas to connect others and bring that together, right? And that's the most fulfilling part of life. Zig Ziglar said it: you can get everything you want or have everything you want in life by helping as many others get what they want. One of my favorite quotes.
Yep.
It's in the Bible
Absolutely.
too, in Philippians. It's
Yep.
all outlined in there for us. So I see Larry, you just got a shout out from Mark here about your upcoming challenge. You want to talk about this a little bit? I can share a little bit of the screen if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So the challenge that I'm going to be doing is a 5-day challenge spread over from starting May 20th through the 24th. It's 1 hour a day. And if you think, well, 1 hour is not a long time, well, it's not. But we're going to dive deep into discovering and understanding your purpose, and developing your purpose and aligning it, and then building your strategy to grow and lead in that purpose. And it's 1 hour sessions or intense work, but man, it's going to be fun. We're going to have a great time. And Chris is bringing up the landing page. If you guys go to the QR code, it'll take you here, and love to have you join me. That's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to everybody that shows up.
Yeah, and what you can do is when you're on this page, and I know what's coming up now, I'm just making, yeah, okay, we're live on this now. When you're on this page, you can see everything that Larry's going to cover. He'll walk you through all this. But what I want you to understand is when you go to check out, so session 1, he's going to be talking about becoming aware of your who, why, and how. Then he's going to talk about recognizing your saboteurs. So we covered this on a high level. He's going to go a lot deeper. Going to define your purpose and then align your purpose. And what I love is he's leaving open Q&A for day 5. So you have the ability. So when you go to check out, just use this code. I'm going to say it one more time so you have it. Champ25. So you can just scan on here, right here, put Champ25, and that'll take $25 off for it. And share it with others who can benefit from this. Larry's put some serious time into bringing this all together, and he's excited to launch this and bring it out to the market in 2 weeks, man. Time flies.
Oh, wow. It is 2 weeks, man. Hey, and one other thing is on there, we're going to, you mentioned, we're going to help you understand and discover your saboteurs. So anybody that comes to this event is going to be gifted a saboteur assessment. So the day 1, when we start this, you'll already know what your saboteurs are.
Nice.
And so when it gets to that point, we're going to dive in and explain how those saboteurs react and interact with you. So I'm gonna give that to anybody that shows up, that signs up for this event.
And I love that because that gives you a framework to work with for the entire week. Hey, and I'll just use Mark as an example or David out there who's been interacting with us. Hey, David, this is what you're dealing with. Let's work through that this week. And that's something that's important. One of the things about a challenge, if you don't understand what a challenge is, each day you're going to spend time with Larry for little bits, right? So you're going to get new insight, and then he's going to give you something to move you forward each day. So after these 5 days, you're going to basically start at one point and you're going to be at a different finish line. So they're very transformative and they're not overwhelming. They give you an opportunity to start moving forward in very, very short little bursts.
Absolutely.
So we got Dale out here. Let's give a shout out to Texas, man. We got people from all over the place. So there's Dale. And what's Dale got up here? Starting with who is critical.
Yeah. If we don't know who we're going to serve, then our purpose has no value.
Well, something on that statement, Larry, too, I can tell I've worked with a lot of clients who, I ask them, hey, who is your target market? Who's your ideal audience? So like I asked you, who are you fighting for? Why are you fighting for them?
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. I'm guilty as charged for a long time on this too. It's blah, 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 blah. Well, that's the world. Okay. Yeah. And then you start refining it down, or, if it's in business, you might end up getting your first 1 or 2 clients and you're like, wow, this is the kind of people I like to work with. These are the people that'll implement. And then it just evolves from there. So once you get that who, especially when the purpose is defined, things really start to expand.
No, absolutely. And I think we all struggle with that. When I first started out in business, I'm a retired federal employee, worked for the federal government for over 30 years, developing leaders, and loved every minute of it. But it was a different world when you go into business, because when I was first asked, who's your target market? Well, any leader, anybody who wants to be a leader.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, just because you can help everyone doesn't mean that's where you need to start. So it is narrowing your focus. It's not a spray and pray, taking a shotgun blast to everything. you really want pinpoint focus, and and I constantly refine. Am I focused enough?
Yep.
Am I focused enough? Because as you grow, maybe your target changes, and that's
Yep.
okay. But you still got to target something, all right? I remember sitting, and I don't remember what it was, a virtual event, and we were talking about this very thing, and somebody said, "Well, my target is, what was it? Single dads raising kids internationally." So like, I'm like, oh wow, that's, that's very real narrow, right? So
Yeah.
you're focused on these dads that are raising their kids in a foreign government, in a foreign country, and it's like, okay, that's pretty targeted. Now, what he was offering, he could help anybody,
Right.
but it was personal,
Yeah.
right? That's again tying back to your purpose, right? It becomes personal because I can't share a story with just anybody; it won't resonate.
Yeah.
But as as a business owner who's started a business and struggled, I can share that.
Yeah.
So if we've got a common language and a common understanding, then we're more relatable. But can I help the C-suite? Absolutely. I've got bigger clients as well, but that's not who I'm seeking.
Yeah.
If they step in my path, I'm not going to turn money away. But at the same time, I see more impact when I'm helping that young entrepreneur who's trying to launch their business, because you know what? At someday they'll also be a C-suite.
Yeah.
They're going to grow.
Well, that's thinking lifetime value of a client. That's a whole different
Absolutely.
topic. But in all seriousness,
That's another live event.
yeah, that's another level. But in all seriousness, like what you said, like whenever a client comes to me, and like I've seen clients shift who they serve so many times, and it takes that moment of, wow, I love working with this kind of individual.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's when they realize, yeah, I could go after these big, huge companies. And yeah, I could get the big contracts now, or I could help this person here and scale this faster and make a greater impact. So that's kind of like what you're at. And it doesn't mean those bigger clients don't end up coming your way. I have this
absolutely.
all the time. I have a certain market segment I work with, but I get the referrals into these larger opportunities. But it was because I helped somebody get to a different level, and they're like, hey, Chris can help you with that. But my
Right.
marketing doesn't message that, but I know I can help them with that. So it's just exactly how it plays out.
No, absolutely. And and like many of us, if you're on any type of social media, LinkedIn, I get stuff every day that, hey, we can 100 times your investment.
Yeah.
We can give you, 1,000 potential clients a month, and those are all guarantees that are a result,
Yeah.
an outcome. Okay, but they don't get it down to the source. What's causing this? Yeah, if you want to make $1 million, there's smaller things you have to do. I can't
Yeah.
guarantee you $1 million, because if you don't do the steps that has to lead up to that.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to promise you $1 million. What I can promise you, that I'm going to be straightforward and honest. I'm going to help you define your purpose. I'm going to help you align it to your mission, your values, your behaviors. And I'm going to show you how to be held accountable on this path.
Yeah.
And build a framework and a methodology that'll get you to that. And then you get out and do the work.
Wait, you got to do the work after this?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a whole
Sorry.
other conversation that we can have, Larry, because, now you're speaking in my world where people come, hey, I want to go get 50 clients this month. Well, you don't have a foundation. So that's a big jump. That's just not going to happen overnight unless you hit some lottery moment in life, right? Which doesn't work. So what you're talking about is endurance, staying steady, building this foundation and going to the next level from there. All right.
If you're not tied to your purpose, that endurance becomes overwhelming. It's hard, because you've got to realize, why am I doing this? Why is it important?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. So let's just wrap this up here. Michael, I think you were dropping off, but thank you, Michael, from New Jersey here joining us. Great to see you again. It's been a while. Mark, thanks for all the insight, hopping in here and interacting. Really appreciate it. Nice to know you also, Mark. I know you and I just connected here on LinkedIn. And then Dale, of course, from Texas. I know Dale's all over this topic, right? This is what Dale's all about. So we appreciate each and every one of you joining. I encourage you highly, get in Larry's challenge. Use CHAMP25 at checkout. That'll save you $25. And share this with others. Just hit the QR code, share it with others. So Larry, now that you're out of the hospital and you're back, what else you got going on this week as we wrap this up? Anything big to announce besides the challenge?
Just, preparing for this event, making sure that I've got everything ready to go and be impactful to everybody that joins. I look forward to all those that register. And I got, a lot of networking events. I love going out and meeting people and just getting to know them better. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome. I know I want to hear about Jose's event when you get back from that. So we thank you all for joining today. Have a great day. Look forward to seeing those that are going to join the challenge in the challenge. And from there, we got one more. Let's see. Hold on. We got a couple questions coming in.
Okay.
Let's take a couple minutes. Let's see. Natalie, how do you help someone transition from what they're doing now to a new purpose? Is it go ahead. You want to answer that one for Natalie?
Yeah. So, Natalie, thanks for joining. It's good to see you virtually. We haven't talked in a while. So I like the way you put in quotes, the new purpose. And the way I would approach this person is, first of all, making sure they have their purpose and they're understanding their purpose. Because most likely if they're transitioning, it's because they haven't been following their true purpose. It could have been something that they were told, hey, this is what you're great at, because I'm good at a lot of things, but not everything is aligned to my purpose. Okay. So my suggestion is go deeper and find out if they truly are living their purpose, because it sounds like they're probably not.
It's a good one. Good answer. And we'll give a shout out to Dolores. Thank you for joining today. Just want to make sure I always acknowledge everybody that puts comments up, right? Because you're taking time to spend time with us. So we appreciate that. And then Mark, like I said, great meeting you. So we'll get to know each other better. So we thank each and every one of you for joining us today. This was fun. I'm going to cut us off right now, Larry. Stay on with me. But thank you all. Have an awesome day. Appreciate you.